Welcome to an Our Father's House broadcast with Amanda Clinton.
I want to talk to you today, this morning, about being passionate about the life that you want to create for yourselves by essentially dreaming big. And there's no other way to do that than through the stories of people who have overcome life's hardships and achieved their dreams. People like Benjamin Franklin. It took him nothing but hard work, ambition, and thrift, which was not merely a philosophy he preached, it was his code by which he lived in his life. None of his successes came by chance. They were created by the ceaseless way in which he organized his life to maximize productivity. Such discipline was necessary if he ever hoped to rise from his humble beginnings. You see, Franklin was the 15th of 17 children born to a candle maker, yet he rose to become a councilman, a postmaster, a recruiter, a speaker, ambassador to France, and, of course, a founding member of America. Not bad for the son of a candle maker. It is my honest belief that God has already predestined our end on this earth. We just need to walk in alignment with his principles as laid down in the Bible in order to walk into that destiny. That's why Jeremiah 1:5 states, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." It just takes hard work, passion, and an inward and outward sense and belief that God, that delivered all those people before us, will surely not forget us in our time of need. Allowing only ordinary ability and opportunity, we may explain success mainly by one word, and that is work, work, and then some more work. And that quote was from Frederick Douglass. He rose from being a slave to extraordinary success, who required monumental amounts of hard work, tenacity, and passion. And Frederick Douglass had all these qualities in spades. You see, Douglass understood that nothing in life would ever be handed to him. When his master's wife, who had been teaching him the alphabet, was reprimanded for doing so by her husband, Douglass continued to learn to read by interacting with white children and working through any written materials that he could find. Later in life, during the 1888 Republican Convention, he became the first African American to receive a vote to be nominated for the presidency. Dying in 1895, Douglass had risen from slavery to become one of the most prominent and well-represented black men in the United States. Frederick Douglass was therefore a man whose birth as a slave did not stop him from persevering despite his disadvantages in life. And that's why Matthew 6 from verse 25 to 33 confirms, "Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is life not more than food, and the body no more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than that? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his lifespan? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon, in all his glory, was not arrayed like any one of these." In talking about being passionate about the life you want to create for yourself by dreaming big, it is important it brings to mind Larry Ellison. He's a billionaire several times over, and perhaps the 9th richest man in the world, who established a database called Oracle in 1977 with only $2,000 of his own money. He says about himself that the most important thing, or the most important aspect of my personality as far as determining my success goes, has been my questioning conventional wisdom, doubting the experts, and questioning authority. While that can be very painful in relationships with your parents and teachers, it's enormously useful in life. And that quote was from the 9th richest man in the world, a billionaire, several times over, Larry Ellison. He was born in the Bronx to an unwed mother, and he never knew his father. He attended only 2 years of college before dropping out when his adoptive mother died. Interested in computers and software design, Ellison went to work for Ampex Corporation before founding what would become the database company Oracle in 1977, as I mentioned, with only $2,000 of his own money. Greatly successfully, the company made Ellison a billionaire several times over and continues to secure his place as the 9th richest man in the world. What made Ellison unique, however, was his defiant and difficult nature, qualities that allowed him to birth out his destiny, one that was pre-designed for him before the foundations of the earth. And I'm not, saying that one should be difficult or defiant, but I'm essentially saying that everything that might go against us in the world in terms of our character, our personalities, are the same qualities that we can turn around and use for the goodness of being prosperous and persevering in this world. Ultimately, because being passionate about life you want to create for yourself by dreaming big is something that someone can't hand to you on a plate. As Barack Obama is famous for saying, making your mark on the world is hard. If it were easy, everybody would do it, but it's not. It takes patience, it takes commitment, and it comes with plenty of failure along the way. The real test is not whether you avoid this failure, because you won't. It's whether you let it harden or shame you into action, or whether you learn from it, whether you choose to persevere. And Barack Obama's story is, of course, one that is well known, perhaps needs no introduction or repeating, but I think I'm just going to repeat it just the same. Obama was born, as you may already know, to a white mother and a Kenyan father in Hawaii. His father went back to Kenya when he was only 2 and saw his son only once more. Obama graduated from Columbia University, worked as a community organizer in Chicago for 3 years, and then went to Harvard Law School. Whilst there, he became the first African American to be elected as president of the Harvard Law Review, and Obama returned to Chicago for 12 years as a professor in law and was elected to the Illinois Senate in 1996. After only a term as a senator, Obama won the presidential election and became the first black president in the United States history. Sometimes, the greatest person we have to overcome, however, is ourselves, our doubts, our backgrounds, our inexperience, our poverty. In being passionate about the life you want to create for yourself by dreaming big and making it a reality in the kingdom of God, because God ultimately has promised us that He will give us beauty for our ashes, as Isaiah 61:3 confirms. Our ashes being our former lives in terms of success, or in terms of our inability to be successful, and He'll give us beauty in terms of being able to be successful if we work hard, persevere in our passions in life. And if you just tuned in today, I'm ultimately talking about how one can think big and being passionate about the life one wants to create for themselves. And you're tuned in to me, Amanda Clinton, here on my show, Our Father's House, Building God's Spiritual House, using a variety of platforms. Now, getting back to the topic of thinking big. As a famous black American actor was told by another actor when he wanted his film trailer designed in a particular way and was refused, he was told by this other actor that no one should ever tell you what you can't have. And I've certainly found that quite recently in life, that no one should certainly tell you what you can't have. Ultimately, it is worth investing in God's spiritual currency in order to birth that dream you have inside you, because it is a constant currency. Just like on earth, a firm constant currency is gold. That's why China bought as much as 490 tons of gold in 2011, double the estimate of the tons of gold they bought in 2010. Because as the economy is, no asset is safe now. The only choice is to hedge risks in order to hold hard currency such as gold, and that's why China bought so much gold last year. Gold may be a good currency on earth to invest in when times are a bit hard, but we need to ultimately build an eternal spiritual currency to last us this lifetime and the afterlife, because gold won't buy us much of a dream of dreams in heaven. Above all, we have a lot of to learn from one of the wisest men of them all, and that's King Solomon, who, when the Lord appeared to him during the night in a dream, God said, "Ask for whatever you want, and it should be given to you." And Solomon answered, "Give your servant a discerning heart, to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of ours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this, so God gave it to him. "Since you have asked this, and not for long life or wealth for yourself, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice," and that again is discernment in administering justice, "I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both riches and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal amongst kings. And if you walk in my ways and obey my statutes and command, as David your father did, I will give you a long life." Then Solomon awoke, and he realized that it had been a dream, and that was just taken from 1 Kings 3, from verse 5 to 15, talking about how Solomon was ultimately given his dream of dreams on earth by asking for discernment and not riches, and God added the rest to him. Therefore, to close today, I want to concentrate on a particular biblical quote, and that's from Psalm 1, verse 1 to 6, and ask that you concentrate on this psalm today, because I just think it's a beautiful psalm, and it ultimately speaks a lot. Psalm 1 from verse 1 to 6 states, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seats of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does he prospers. The wicked are not so, but are like chaff that the wind drives away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous." Therefore, if you've just tuned in, I'm just closing off in the next 2 to 3 minutes on my name is Amanda Clinton, on my show Our Father's House, building God's spiritual house using a variety of platforms, including radio. And what I've been focusing on today is how one can think big in order to ultimately get their dream of dreams on earth, and then when their souls depart to heaven, get their dream of dreams in heaven, and experience God's wonderful joy and his life. Because ultimately I think if we really are going to create a destiny for ourselves, or the kind of destiny that we want in this earth, we ultimately have to think big and not expect anyone to hand things to us on a plate. And ultimately, as I said during today's message, not to let anyone tell us what we can't get in this life in terms of a portion of our life, because God has already carved out and predestined our life before the foundations of the earth, before he knew us even, or before the foundations of the earth, before he knew us, he already predestined our life. Therefore, we must walk in that destiny by living in alignment with his principles as laid out in the Bible, and also being passionate about our dreams and passionate about what we want to create for ourselves, because ultimately no one can think as big as you can dream for yourself, and no one can hand anything to you on a plate. Therefore, as you go out this morning, and as you just encounter people in your day-to-day life, at work, at home, I just hope that this word has truly touched you, in that it's just been, a rhema word in terms of thinking big, dreaming big for yourselves, and taking a portion of your destiny on this earth and in heaven, because ultimately it is up to you to throw a stone and carve out your territory, carve out your portion of your God-given inheritance on this earth. And once again, you can tune in to me, Amanda Clinton, on Our Father's House from 5:45 to 6 every morning, from Monday to Friday at Vibe FM. And I'm also going to start doing some Sunday shows in order to give you a bit more, inspirational messages as you go to church, as you come back from church, etc. So I hope you have enjoyed listening to me today, and that you will continue listening to me by joining me tomorrow.